and welcome to training. My name is Joel Brett. I'm here with my beautiful wife, Kristen. And this month, we're going to spend some time talking specifically about winning in direct mail, also known as mail order. We're going to spend time talking about the different products that you can sell in mail order, pricing structures for success, different printing options that you can use, supplies that you're going to need if you're going to run a successful direct mail business. We're also going to talk about where to get leads and where you can source good quality leads. We're also going to talk about the process of the direct mail system, and we're going to talk about getting started. And of course, actually, before we get going into all of that, I just want to put a little disclaimer out there that this is specific information for people that kind of want to get a little bit more involved in a direct mail business or understand different parts of it. We've got resources where you can already tap into the leads, you can tap into printing resources. We've already got all the letters written, the offers written, the back end offers written. So we've really got everything already set up for you. So you don't really have to think about it, you don't really have to come up with it, build it. But this training has been developed so that you can kind of get a behind-the-scenes look at what I do on a regular basis to be able to run a successful direct mail business. And we've got over 11 years of experience in direct mail for different network marketing businesses and different internet businesses as well through the mail. So I've got a lot of things to go over today, so you can just sit back, relax, and enjoy the information, take some notes, and you can listen to it over and over again, so that you get kind of a full overview of what we're talking about. So now if you're going to start your own direct mail business, or if you're going to kind of go off on your own into the direct mail industry, of course you need a product to sell. And you want something, obviously, that you can be able to ship easily, something that's cost-effective to be able to ship. And there's really two types of products that you can use. Information products, which are basically either businesses or systems or information booklets or anything that you can teach or train them, information that they want to know about or information that they want to learn about. Of course, there's also tangible products that are a lot more difficult to sell through a sales letter because you've got one opportunity to really provide the information about why they should purchase your product or your service or whatever it is that you're selling. And it becomes a lot more difficult because we're obviously competing with retail outlets and stores and shops online that have similar products to probably what you're offering. We're looking at competing on price most of the time. So I'm going to focus primarily on information products. That's what we've sold very successfully over the years. And the major reason why we've focused on information products is because we can differentiate in the marketplace a lot easier by selling an information product or the information that we have available rather than selling a tangible product through the mail. Think about it. If you look at selling, let's just say, for example, CD-ROMs or binders or laptop computers or anything that's tangible, you're going to find that there's competition in the marketplace for that specific product that you're selling. And oftentimes, if you don't have a good economy of scale or if you don't have a good supply chain, you're going to find that you're not able to compete very well on price. And then it makes it very difficult for you to offer value add or something to differentiate. Your USP or your unique selling proposition becomes very hard because your product is just the same as everybody else's. Whereas with information products, what happens is the information, if you develop it or if you create it, or if it's created by somebody in your team, one of your business partners, then it's specific information that you can say that nobody else has, that nobody else has developed. So you can put almost any price you want on it, depending on what the market will bear, what the market will pay for that specific information. We've seen information products go anywhere from $5, $10, all the way up to thousands and thousands of dollars. And the reason why is because if the information is valuable, it's going to provide a benefit to the consumer, they're willing to pay for that information. So just think about that. If you're going to be providing a product through the mail, think about, obviously, different information products that you can sell. One of the other things is we also like offering the opportunities through the mail, just because there's a lot of people constantly looking for opportunities, working from home and making money from home. It's not difficult to source lists and specifically looking for people that are interested in that industry and in what you have to offer. So that kind of covers the different types of products that you can sell through the mail or that I've had experience with. And obviously we lean a lot heavier towards information products because they're a lot easier to ship. They're a lot less expensive to make. Once you've got an information product, you can easily duplicate it either through a CD, through a DVD, or through a booklet or a book to be able to provide that information to people. So let's just skip over to pricing and testing. We're going to talk a little bit about that. I've had the most success in pricing anywhere from $10 all the way up to about $80. And so just to give you an idea of the different tests that we've done over the years, if you're going to be pricing either a small opportunity or if you're going to be pricing an information product, generally if you stay somewhere between $10 to $80, it's a good place to start with a test, especially if the product that you're selling is going to be sold to a customer on the first exposure, which means basically they don't know you, they just receive a letter in the mail, and you're making an offer to them to buy. All right. So if you stay somewhere in the range of $10 to $80, you're probably going to hit at least some sales for the offering that you have, given if your sales material is put together well to be able to offer something that the customer wants to buy. We've also tested prices of $100 that did all right. Also, we've done $150, $300, and we've had some success, but you've got to be careful because you do have to have a really good offer if you're going to hit some of those larger price points. I've also seen other offers in the mail that have asked for $500, $1,000 up front. I don't think they get a lot of sales. I haven't personally sold anything, any businesses or any information products for $500 or $1,000 on the first sale to any customers, just because it is difficult to get somebody to hand over $1,000 or $500 or $5,000 without gaining that initial trust and gaining some credibility with those customers. So starting with the price points, $10 all the way up to about $80, I'm just going to talk about the prices specifically that we've used. And I haven't found any major difference. Some marketers will argue that putting a price of $9.97 versus $9.99 or $9.95 works better. I haven't seen any real significant difference between $9.95 and $9.97 or $9.99. The consumer kind of sees $10 regardless. Some people will lead you to believe that if you put $9.97, it'll work better if you put a 7 at the end. I haven't seen any real specific result differences in our testing and things that we've done. I found that the difference is more in the offer and the sales letter and the material and in the leads that you're using rather than whether you put a 5 or a 7 at the end of the price number. So we've had the most success, just to let you know, in doing our initial offerings or our first offering to customers at the $39.95 level, the $49.95 level, and the $79.95 level. So $40, $50, and $80 are kind of our sweet spots. If you go $29.95, you're having trouble breaking even. You do need a lot of sales. Same thing with $19.95 or $9.95. What happens is you're not collecting as much money, and then it's difficult to kind of recoup your investment when you're sending out mail when you're only collecting $10 from each individual customer. Now, the good thing about the smaller price points is normally the lower you go, the more orders you're going to get, okay, or the more customers you're going to get. So if you have a strong secondary offer, you kind of have to make that decision to decide, well, should I charge less to get more customers and more people in the door, more paying customers in the door, if I've got a really strong secondary offer, something that I'm going to sell to them next after they purchase the initial $10, $20 offering. If I've got an offering that a lot of people are going to purchase $100 or $200 or $1,000 or $5,000 right after that, you might want to lower the price to get more customers. But what we've found is kind of that $40, $50, and $80 level, you're able to get closer to break even or even make money on the initial mailing immediately so that you don't necessarily have to worry about the profitability on the back end. Of course, that's potentially going to make you lazy because if you're making money on the front end, you may or may not have a strong back-end process, but we want to get the customers in the door. We want to make as much money as possible and convert as many customers into happy clients or happy customers as we can. So if you're going to be looking at pricing, I would say starting $40 or $50 is probably a good price point for most information products or most mail order business opportunities or MLMs or information products if you're going to kind of start out. And then obviously if you have a really strong offer, you can go up to $80, $100. Like I said, we've gone all the way up to $150 and $300. The problem with those higher price points is you really don't get a lot of customers. So although the conversions are good and we're still being profitable at those levels, at the 150, and actually the 150 didn't do spectacular. The 300 did actually better than the 150 when we did some testing on it. So it's still profitable, but the problem is then you have a really small customer base to convert on the back end. So I personally would always rather have 10 customers paying $39.95 each rather than one customer paying $300, because then I've got 10 potential customers to sell to, again, that have already spent the $40, rather than one customer that spent $300, if that makes sense. So just think about that when you're doing pricing and when you're doing testing, and you kind of play with it. There's nothing wrong with sending out 1,000 pieces of mail or 500 pieces of mail at $39.95, sending out another 500 at $49.95, sending another 500 at $99.95, sending another 500 at $9.95. So just play around with the pricing and see the differences that you get, see the customers that you get. I always recommend that people do that with their first mailings too, is just change the pricing. Maybe take 2 prices or 3 prices. Don't go crazy with doing mailings with 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 different prices trying to figure out the best price, because at that point you start to spread yourself a bit thin, and you're not really sure then if it's the leads or if it's the price that's having the effect. But if you take the same kind of set of leads, if you've got a lead set of like 2,000 leads, you just break it up into the 2 or 3 or 4 different prices of 500 or 1,000 each. And then you kind of tell if you're converting better at $39.95 or if you're converting better at $19.95. If you're getting more customers or if you're more profitable. And you always have to obviously track all your results to determine what's the best price for my specific offer. And of course, on the back end, you have to determine if people are buying from you again and again, if you've got anything to sell them additionally, or if there's a continuity where you're selling them a monthly offering or monthly products or services or different information products or a business opportunity that they can also participate in, and then having more of them generally tends to be better. So that's a little bit about pricing and some of the testing that we've done. Like I said, our sweet spot that we've kind of found on the initial offerings generally is from about $40 to $80, because you can kind of get your profitability in there, but you can also get a large number of people that are willing to send $40, $50, $80. So let's just move on to printing. Printing is really important. I want to spend a few minutes on that as well, just because we kind of, in our mail order business, we have different printing that we do. There's essentially your testing printing, there's kind of short run printing that we do, and then there's long run printing. So testing printing usually is like 500 pieces, 1,000 pieces of mail, maybe 2,000 pieces of mail. That's trying to figure out, okay, is this new offer or is this new price that I want to try valid? Does it work? Maybe I got a new set of leads. I just want to run them off quick and get them out in the mail and see if they convert or not. Generally, you can pretty much use any printer for something like 1,000 pieces of mail or 500 pieces of mail. It's going to cost you more if you're just using your home printer. But the problem is, if you're just doing testing, you don't want to do a full run of 5,000 or 10,000 or 20,000 pieces of mail. You're just testing something if you're just trying it out. Generally, I recommend people do tests of at least 1,000 pieces. But if you're only printing out 1,000 pieces of a certain mail piece, running it at home is fine. I always recommend, of course, printing it in color. Looks better if you throw some pictures on your pieces. We get so much mail, by the way, that's just kind of junky black and white, all writing. I can't believe that it converts at all if it does, and I have a hard time believing some of those generate a lot of income to the people. I kind of see them floating around, but often we get a lot of different offers, and you don't see the same ones over and over again. So generally, if you've got pictures, if you've got color in it, tends to work a lot better. Just to let you know, the printer that I have at home personally, I've actually got 2 of them. It's an HP OfficeJet Pro X451DW. There's a few different versions of it. It's kind of a fairly newer one. It's kind of like, I would say it's like an Office Professional, like kind of a mid-range. I think it was maybe $500, $500 or $600 at Staples. I'm sure you can get them a little bit cheaper online. We just waited for them to go on sale. I think we got them both at 50% off, so I think we only paid $200 or $300 for the printer, but they significantly save on printing costs. So the cost per page that we print is a lot cheaper than running them on any other inkjets or some of the smaller printers, that you can pick up or that you might already have at home. And that's really the big cost that you want to look at when you're running your own printing, because it's not the cost of the printer, it's actually the cost of the ink and the cost per page that you end up paying that's the problem. Buying a $50 or $100 printer in the long run isn't going to save you any money, because the cost per page, if the cost per page is 25 cents versus, let's say, 15 cents, you're paying an extra 10 cents per page. So, every time you run off a thousand pieces of paper, you're essentially paying an extra $100 every time you do that. So you got to kind of think about that if you're going to be running on a consistent basis and being in the mail order business. Running some of your own tests, you want to get kind of a little higher end home print to be able to run your tests with. So anything under 500 pieces, I'd say just run it off on any printer. So if you're just going to do like 100 pieces of mail or 200 pieces of mail, you can just run it off on whatever you have at home. If you're going to start doing regular testing of 1,000, 2,000 pieces, if you really are going to get out there and doing, 5,000 pieces or more on a regular basis every month or every couple months, you definitely want to get something like the HP OfficeJet Pro X451 DW like we have. Like I said, there's a few versions of it, but something like that that's going to run a lot faster. It fully duplexes it, so it'll actually flip the pages over inside it, so you don't have to worry about it. It's full color, it's very crisp, it's very good, and it's very cost effective. And then obviously if you start getting into 10,000 pieces, 20,000 pieces, 30,000 pieces, 50,000 pieces at a time, you're going to need a full service printer to be able to do that for you. There's no way you ever want to be running 10 or 20,000 pieces of mail at home by yourself to be able to get those out. So it takes us a little while to find a good print shop. If you're going to look for a good print shop in your city or your town, you're probably going to call on 5 or 6 or 7 different printers to get different prices, and then you got to go back and forth with them and try to get their prices down. Don't be scared if you're negotiating with them to just try to get them down, because they're always going to start really high. The print industry, if you go to a big print shop, they can print very, very inexpensively because they run on big spools of paper. Their costs are very low. So the longer the print run, you're going to get it significantly cheaper. So if you go to a big print shop and you say, well, I want to run 2,000 pieces of this mail piece, well, they're going to charge you a lot per piece. But if you're going to run 50,000 or 100,000 or 200,000 of that same piece of mail, you're literally paying pennies on the dollar. So you'll significantly save, but of course, you've got to have a very successful, proven, tested mail piece for you to run 50 or 100,000 pieces of that off, because at the end of the day, if you print off 50,000 pieces of a certain sales letter, you want to make sure that you're going to get them out and use them. Otherwise, you're wasting literally thousands and tens of thousands of dollars printing off that many at a time. So we usually, like I said, kind of start off at home, do our testing, test them out, see if it works, and then once it works, then we'll go to the full-service printer and say, okay, can you print me off 20,000 of these or 50,000 of these? And we kind of build it in that way. So, that's kind of the printing part. Again, if you're starting out and you want to try your own, anything under 5,000 pieces, you can kind of do at home, but really, if you're going to do it consistently, you should get a decent home printer, something that's a little more professional than just a kind of a little inkjet. They'll print a lot faster and a lot more cost-effective if you invest the money in a decent printer. So the next thing we're going to talk about is some supplies and some different suppliers that we use. Again, depending on how serious you are, if you want to run a full-scale direct mail operation, or if you just want to do some of your own testing, or maybe you want to run some of your own mail, you want to do some printing yourself. In this section, we're going to talk about a few of the suppliers that we use on our direct mail business. So the first thing is envelopes. It's funny, you would think that an envelope supplier would be the least expensive and the best place to go to. We've gone to a few different envelope suppliers, and we've looked online, and actually the best prices we've found for envelopes, believe it or not, is Costco. So if you have a Costco in your area, or if you go to Costco online, you'll find actually that Costco, their retail prices, so the price they just charge everybody, is actually pretty much cheaper than most of the envelope suppliers that you'll find around, unless you're ordering in majorly large quantity. We actually recently got a envelope supplier to quote us on buying 100,000 envelopes at a time. So they're just blank envelopes, either with the strips, with the peel and stick strips, or just the ones that you lick. They quoted double what we currently buy them from Costco. Okay, at the Costco here locally, we're paying about, I think it's maybe $6 or $7 for 500 of the envelopes that you lick, and then I think it's $10 for 500 of the peel and stick strip one. So very inexpensive. You know, you don't have to go crazy. You don't have to negotiate deals for envelopes. You can get at your local Costco. Various small quantity things we shop at Staples, usually one-off. Staples, I've found, tends to be a little bit more expensive than if you go online or if you kind of sourced out specific products. But the problem is, you know, if you're only buying it once, your best bet is just to go to Staples. They probably have it. Or if you want it today. You know, sometimes we'll buy CDs or we'll buy different, you know, envelopes or things like that that are a weird size just to test something out to see if it works. Usually we just go to Staples, pick it up. But if you're going to start buying in larger quantities, generally I'm going to recommend you either go online to Amazon.com or eBay.com, and usually you'll be able to find a lot better deals if you're looking at bigger quantities, or even if you're looking at just regularly ordering something, you can usually find it on Amazon a lot cheaper than you can at your local Staples. But if you want it today, nothing beats just walking into the Staples and picking it up. Labels, if you're going to need labels for anything, if you do want them, usually again on our OfficeJet Pros, we just print envelopes right on them. You can run the envelopes through them with the full address and everything on them. But if you do want to use labels, we've found a website called worldlabel.com, WORLDLABEL.com, so worldlabel.com. They tend to be very, very inexpensive compared to most of the places that I've found that you can buy labels from. Again, they destroy the prices at Staples. Staples, if you're just going to buy 1,000 labels or 500 labels one time, sure, go to Staples. But if you want to buy, 5,000, even 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 or more labels, definitely check out worldlabel.com. They have a really good price structure. They have almost every kind of label that you possibly would want. The shipping is pretty good. It is very fast, and they've been really reliable for us whenever we've wanted to purchase labels. And then paper. Paper is an interesting thing. We actually, obviously for our large-scale printing, the print shop just provides the paper. You just buy it in huge rolls. If you ever go into a print shop, you'll see these giant rolls that they have paper out of. They just cut it all down to the size they need. But if you're going to do printing at home, paper is kind of a weird thing. Never pay full retail for paper. You can always get it on sale somewhere. Okay, that's kind of the trick. So we actually get a lot of paper from Staples. We just wait for it to go on sale. In the last year or two, we found that they have these neat little sales through the rewards membership that they send us the coupons, but we get coupons constantly for like half-price paper or a box of paper for $10 or a box of paper for $5 or, buy a ream of paper and get it for 1 cent. And so Staples actually has done really well for us on the paper side, but we just, we never pay full price. So I'm never going to pay $40 or $50 or $60 for a case of paper. I'm always going to wait for it to go on sale for like $5 or $10 or $20 and get a deal on it. You just kind of stock up and you wait for the next deal, and when the next deal comes around, you stock up again. And if you don't go to Staples, of course, you can find paper online, Amazon. Again, some of the other retailers locally probably have it. I haven't necessarily found a good trick to buying regular paper other than just waiting for it to go on sale in the different retailers or the different online sources and getting whoever is trying to basically liquidate their paper that they have available. So that's about it for supplies. We're going to move on now to where to get leads from. Now, leads are kind of a tricky thing, and this is kind of, I guess leads are going to be the major downfall for most people in direct mail. If something is going to stump you up, well, actually, let me preface this by saying your offer or your sales letter, which we're not talking about necessarily a lot today, that'll obviously be one of your major downfalls. If your offer isn't very good or if your sales copy isn't very good, that'll create a major problem or roadblock in your direct mail efforts. But leads, we got great sales copy. You don't have to come up with your own copy. You don't have to write it. You can just use the letter that we've already written, put together, and that we know converts and it does well. One of the problems you can have, though, then, if you do have a really good sales letter, is leads. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not immune to purchasing poor leads. I've been in this industry for, like I said, over 11 years. I've bought my share of really junk leads. But the unfortunate thing about leads is you just have to test them, track them, and see how they do. And then if you find a good list or a good place to rent a mailing list or a good lead broker, you just continue purchasing from them over and over again. They'll continue generating good or bad leads. The important thing, though, is you always have to track where the leads are coming from and what the results are from each mailing. Because if you don't do that, what's going to happen is you're going to get some good leads and some junk leads, and you'll never know which are the junk and which are the good ones. So the goal is always make sure you track all the leads and all the mailings that you do so that you can continue buying the good leads and from the good lead sources, and obviously drop the ones that you're getting that aren't converting and that are bad leads. So there's a few different places you can generate leads or get leads from. You can rent mailing lists from lead brokers or from people that offer mailing list services. You can run your own newspaper advertising. Okay, you can run ads in daily newspapers. You can run ads in national newspapers. You can run ads in the small little weekly papers. I've always found that running ads in some of the small little weekly papers or the penny savers and things like that tend to do better just because they're less expensive, and they still do have a decent little reach, but you tend to have to run a lot more of them to be able to get, a significant amount of people. So just keep that in mind if you're going to start running your own advertising campaigns through the newspaper. You can generate your own leads through there. The leads through newspaper advertising tend to cost a little bit more, but the quality tends to be a little bit higher. If you're going to start taking on your own campaigns and running and managing your own leads and your own lead generation, it takes a lot more work than just renting a mailing list, but the results tend to pay for themselves. You can also do magazine advertising. I haven't done a lot of Business Opportunity Magazine advertising, although you can. I would recommend that if you are going to, that you test out your offer first through renting mailing lists, and then simply go to either a half-page or a full-page ad in those magazines. So unfortunately, it's going to cost you a full-page ad probably anywhere from a couple thousand to all the way up to maybe $8,000 or $10,000. However, the small advertising in the very back classified, in my experience, or I guess just anecdotally from people telling me, tends to not work at all. Whereas the larger ads, the half-page or full-page ads tend to be in those magazines over and over and over again, which tells me that they are obviously generating results for the people spending that kind of money. So, but before you advertise in these magazines, obviously you want to know how many people are getting the magazine, if it's the right kind of target market for you. Plus, obviously you want to test your offer by just running some mailing lists first and mailing your offer to them before you start spending $5,000 or $10,000 running magazine advertising. Of course, you can also do online advertising. Google or Yahoo or one of the search engines. You can do banner advertising. You can run through Facebook. I'm not going to get into a lot of specifics in terms of how to run the advertising, but of course there's a lot of different mediums there online to be able to generate your own leads. If you're looking for renting mailing lists or list brokers, what I've done is I just got a membership at srds.com, so it's S as in Sam, R as in Robert, D as in Daniel, S as in Sam, so srds.com. Now, unfortunately, it costs about $900 per year to be a member of that website, but for the amount of mailing that we do, obviously it's worth it. If you're just getting started, $900 might be a bit steep, so you can just, do searches through Google to try to find the different list brokers and where to buy leads. I just found that, paying the $900 a year, it just allows us to be able to do searches and find list brokers that are available a lot quicker, a lot easier, and we've had some good success finding new lists and new brokers and things like that through the SRDS website. So if it's within your budget, if you've got a significant budget, if you're running a decent direct mail campaign already, and you're looking for new mailing lists or new list brokers to be able to use, you can definitely check out srds.com It's a great resource to be able to find new lists and new list brokers and new lead sources to be able to use. So we're going to move on a little bit to process now. I'm going to talk a little bit about the direct mail process and how it works, how it's worked best for us, and what we've tended to use consistently over the years that's converted for us, that's generated us sales and a lot of profits over the years. So first off, obviously you need a sales letter. We generally tend to like to have at least a 4-page letter. So front and back, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and I guess it's 2 pages front and back, but a 4-page long letter. And part of the reason why is because we want to put enough information in there to be able to sell the customer on what it is that we're offering. We don't want it to be too short. We don't want to leave a lot of the questions unanswered, but we also don't want it to be too long. So we don't want to write a letter that's 10 pages long or 20 pages long or 30 pages long, obviously, because it tends to be too much to read, too much information, but also a lot harder to mail. So we found that a 4-page letter tends to be kind of a nice sweet spot where we can still get it in the mail under the weight restrictions for first-class mail, but also we can, in 4 pages we can put a good write-up. We can also include a lot of nice little pictures and some color to be able to make the sales letter more appealing. We always include an order form separate from the sales letter. So we always make sure that there's a page separate from the sales letter that people can either cut out or just simply mail back to us to purchase or to join or to buy. And the reason why we do that is we don't want them destroying some of the sales letter, because sometimes people like to keep that letter, that information, and reread it over and over again. And we don't want them having to take the extra step to go photocopy it or try to keep it if our order form is plastered somewhere in that 4-page letter. So the order form, we always make it separate. The envelopes, we usually send them first class. Now, there's a couple different options that you have. If you're doing a larger mailing through a print mailing house, you can send them second class as long as they do a sort on them. They're going to add some additional stuff, sorting things for the post office. So you can get them actually cheaper out that way. I've done both first and second class mailings. I've found, to be honest, that I don't mind paying a little bit extra for the first class mail. I think, and this is again anecdotal, this isn't specifically tested back to back, but I've sent a lot of both. And I found that the first class mail, I think, gets opened more, and we get a better response when we send it first class. So we do end up paying a little bit more, but I think it's worth it to put a first class stamp on every single piece. I really don't like the printed on postage. I don't like it when they have too much junk all over the address, just because I think that the customers or the potential prospects really look at that more as junk mail. So the more it looks like a real piece of mail that's coming from another real person instead of just a company, you're going to tend to do better with that. So we tend to just kind of address them to the customer from us. Personally, I tend to like to put my name on it or somebody's name on it that I'm working with, one of our, either myself or one of our business partners, or at least our company name, just so that they know that, yeah, somebody specifically took this piece of mail and sent it to me. Also, when you put a first-class stamp on it, they know, that customer knows that somebody had to stamp that. Machines don't generally stamp with a real stamp. So, again, it looks a little bit more professional, it looks a little bit more real, so you're going to get a little bit better open rate by doing that. So you pay a little bit more, that's completely up to you. And of course, if you're sending smaller mailings, you have to use first class anyway, but I tend to just, go to the post office, buy 5,000 or 10,000 stamps, and get our mailings out that way. So the next thing you need, obviously, is a follow-up offer or an upsell. So, or continuity or recurring sales, something that's going to allow you to make additional profits from your buyers. Here's the interesting thing actually about direct mail. Most of your profits will actually not be made on your initial offer. Your initial offer is designed specifically to obviously generate those sales, but more importantly, to sift and sort and find the buying customers, the people that are going to purchase from you, and the people that are interested in what you have to offer. Where you're going to make the most profits and what's going to be most profitable for you is offering your buyers something else to purchase. So either something more expensive or another offer or some kind of continuity, some kind of recurring sale that they're going to purchase on a regular basis. That's actually where you're going to make most of your profit, because you've already targeted and found now the specific buyers and the people that are willing to spend money and the people that are specifically interested in what you have to offer. So now you want to take the time to be able to offer them additional complementary products or an upsell, something that's more expensive, or you can sell them something that they're going to purchase on a regular basis from you. And you got to think that that's going to convert a lot better than sending blindly to, people that don't know you, that don't trust you, that haven't previously purchased from you. So as you build your direct mail empire and your direct mail business, you really have to keep tabs on and database on your buyers. Anybody who's purchased from you, any member that's joined you, those are going to be your best prospects for the life of your business. So always make sure that you have something else additional to offer them that's related to what it is that you sold initially. Okay, so now we're just going to get started with some strategies for getting started in direct mail. The first thing that I'm going to tell everybody is just use an existing or proven letter. There's no point in reinventing the wheel or trying to come up with your own fabulous idea or trying to come up with something different. Direct mail isn't about coming up with a new idea or something different or something exciting or something that's going to be revolutionary. Direct mail is about consistency. All right, that's it. It's just about consistently. How many people can you get this offer in front of will determine your success and will determine how much money you make, period. The best thing and the best advice I can offer you is to get your feet wet and to get into the direct mail industry and the direct mail business is to just use what we've provided to you. Use an existing proven letter and just mail it out a lot. Okay, mail it out more and more and more and more. The other thing that I tell a lot of people to do when they're first getting started, depending on what their budget is to partner up with people or share costs with one or more other business associates. Okay. Now this is very simple to do. You have to trust each other, and you don't want to start mailing people you don't know $5,000 or $10,000 to do huge mailings. But getting started with somebody that you're working with, just send an email or a phone or make a phone call. By sharing the cost of a 1,000-piece mailing or a 2,000 or a 5,000-piece mailing, you can potentially share the cost over one person, 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, 10 people, because all of those people, as long as you put the sales or the new customers in the right spot underneath everybody's going to get a piece of that action. Everybody's going to get a piece of the profit. So getting together with maybe 1 or 2 or 3 other people in the business that you're doing and sharing the profits, what happens is you're able to do larger mailings, you're able to get results, but you're also able to kind of split the costs as well as split the risk over 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 other people. And so if you need help in doing a kind of a split mailing or sharing cost mailing with people and you don't know where to go, feel free to get a hold of us, and we can put you in touch with people that may want to do a split mailing or a shared cost mailing with you. And if you can't find anybody, then Kristen and I might even be willing to do a mailing with you as well. So get a hold of us if you can't find anybody, and we can talk about doing some kind of cost sharing for a mailing with you. The other thing when you're getting started is you have to be consistent. And I've talked to lots of people in our business, and sometimes, you don't get success immediately in direct mail. Sometimes you might mail out 150 pieces or 300 pieces of mail and you just don't get the results you want, but you may just have to continue to mail it more and more. So instead of, sending out 150 pieces or 300 pieces of mail or 500 pieces of mail, send out 300 pieces of mail a month for 3 months or for 6 months, or send out 300 pieces of mail a week for 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 5 weeks, and see what happens over the course of time. Because what happens is, in direct mail, everything will eventually even out. Sometimes you get a really good set of leads and a really good quality mailing or good results from mailing. Sometimes you get, well, let's just say not so good leads. And sometimes the mailing really didn't do that hot. But you can't make a judgment based on one mailing. You need to just do another mailing and another one and another one. And eventually what will happen is the results will start to even out. I've had some people in our business kind of complain a little bit and say, well, geez, I sent out 150 pieces of mails. Well, I really didn't get the results I wanted. And I just say, well, did you send out another 150? Or did you send out another 300? You can't just rely and base 100% of your success based on 150 pieces of mail. 150 or 300 pieces of mail isn't even the size of the testing that I normally do. Again, when I test something, I normally do 1,000 or 2,000 pieces of mail just to see if it works or not. And so if you're sending out 150 pieces of mail, that test amount of people really isn't that big. You might get a lot, you might get a little. Okay, you might not get any. You might get, a huge number. But it just depends on how many there are. But you got to think the averages will work out over the course of more and more time and more numbers. So when you get up to mailing 5,000 or 10,000 or 20,000 pieces of mail or more, what will happen is those averages will work in your favor instead of against you. If you're only mailing 100, 200 pieces of mail, the averages actually work against you because it's kind of like hitting the lottery. Either you hit it or you don't. Whereas with 10 or 20 or 30 or 50,000 pieces of mail, you're kind of getting more of a consistent result because you've got 20 or 30 or 50,000 people that you're exposing your letter to. So the chances are some of them are going to take you up on it, okay, and a percentage of them will. So in doing testing, like I said, I never test anything under 1,000 pieces. If I'm testing something new, whether it be a change in price, whether it be a different sales letter, whether it be a new offer, I always send at least 1,000 pieces of mail just to see, okay, if it works. Now, if you can't fit $1,000 in your budget to send 1,000 pieces of mail, then don't test something new, okay? Just as simple as that. Use something that's proven. And then the final thing I want to just mention is that in direct mail, you need to reinvest and invest to grow. Okay, now here's the strategy that I've used over the years, and it can work for you too, for you to be able to build a giant direct mail empire, whether it be outside of it, doing something on your own, reinvesting and investing. Now what this means is you need to create a budget for your direct mail business today. You need to set aside a budget out of the income or out of the money that you currently have. So whether it be $100 a month, whether it be $500 a month, whether it be $1,000, $5,000 a month, it's completely up to you, okay, based on, your current financial standing and your current financial status. But you do need to set a regular, consistent, weekly or monthly budget, all right? So you decide if you're going to spend money weekly or monthly. So this is how it might look. You might spend $300 a week on doing mailings, okay? And you just consistently, every single week in and week out, spend your $300, get your mail out. No matter what your results coming back, just continue to spend that money over and over again. And of course, track your results and make sure things are going well and the lead sources are good, etc. But always commit that $300, and you never stop spending that $300 every single week. Now, that's $1,200 a month if that's within your budget. If not, do $100 a week or do $100 a month. Okay, or do $1,000 or $5,000 a month. I mean, it's completely up to you based on your own personal situation, your budget, but you need to be consistent with your budget. So that's what I mean by investing to grow. You have to continually take money out of your pocket to get this thing rolling. Now, the other thing that you have to do is, let's say your investment budget is, let's just say $500 a month. And so you're going to put $500 a month into new mail. Now, the other thing you're going to want to do is when mail comes back and when you start generating profits and income from your business, you need to reinvest that to grow the business. Okay, so your initial investment, your budget will always stay the same. Okay, if you set it at $500 a month, that will be $500 a month coming out of your bank account or your pocket or your paycheck from work every single month. That $500 needs to go in. New money needs to come out of your pocket going into the business every month. Now, the other thing you're going to do is reinvest to grow, okay, because the $500 a month that you're putting in is going to create that consistency for you, but the reinvestment is going to create the growth for you, okay? So let's say you put in $500 this month, and let's say you make $300 or $400 in income back from the business. Well, next month what's going to happen is you're going to put in the $500 again, but you're also going to reinvest the $400 in income or profit that you generated from your business, okay? So now next month you've got $900 that you're spending on mail. So you've almost doubled the size of your direct mail campaign literally within 1 month because you're continuing to invest the regular amount, plus you're reinvesting so that you can grow the business. Now here's the interesting thing that's going to happen. So when you're in 900 pieces of mail, let's say that the third month you're still going to invest the $500 out of your pocket, But the profits now, or the income coming from the $900 worth of mail, maybe you generated another, let's say $800 in income from that $900, all right? Now the third month, what's going to happen is you've now got another $800 plus $500, so now that's $1,300 worth of mail going out in month 3, okay? And all we've done is just invested the new $500 every month and reinvested the income or the profits that we're getting from the business back into the business again. So now we've got $1,300 going into month 4. Let's say that we spend that, we put in another new $500, okay? Plus we generate, let's say, $1,200 back in income or profits from the business. Now you've got $1,700 worth of mail going out, and what are we in, like month 4 or month 5, right? $1,700. And all you started with was $500. And you've got $1,700 per month going out in mail successfully for your business. That's, 1,700 pieces of mail or so. Okay? Generally, on average, we're somewhere around $1 a piece, or a little bit higher than $1 a piece of mail. But that's $1,700. So you might not have thought that you could get up to $1,700 or $2,000 or $5,000 per month in mail personally, but you can. And how you do it is you just invest every month. You take out that same amount out of your pocket every month and you invest it, and then you reinvest whatever you get back from the business. And that will allow you to grow and grow and grow. And what happens over time is, many of your members are also going to send mail. They're going to want to grow their businesses as well. And what's going to happen is that total budget for your whole team will skyrocket. And it won't be just $1,700 worth of mail. It might be $10,000 or $20,000 or $30,000 worth of mail going out for your whole team. Because if you've got a team of 10 or 20 people, let's just say 10 people sending out 1,700 pieces of mail each, now that's 17,000 pieces of mail going out for your business. And if you've got 100 people, let's just say you've got 100 people in your business, which isn't unreasonable. If you've got 100 people all spending $1,700 a month, okay, to grow the business, that's $170,000 worth of mail going out. Okay, think about that. All right, that's a lot of mail going out every single month. $170,000 worth of mail going out to build your business, and all you're putting in is the initial $500 plus you're reinvesting, right? And then the monthly $500, then you're reinvesting, and you can build a team that is bigger than anything you could possibly ever imagine through the leverage that you're going to get by investing and reinvesting and getting your members to invest and reinvest. And it can be $500, it can be $1,000, it can be $5,000, it can be $100, it can be $50, okay? But it has to be consistent, and you have to do two things. One, invest to grow, and two, reinvest to grow. Okay? So invest every month the same amount, plus reinvest whatever it is that you make. And eventually you get to the point where you're making more money than you even want to reinvest. You might get up to $10,000 or $20,000 or $30,000 a month in income, and you might say, well, geez, I don't want to keep reinvesting $30,000 a month. I'm only going to reinvest $10,000 a month or $5,000 a month, and I'm going to keep the other $10,000 or $15,000 or $20,000 a month for myself. Okay, so at some point, obviously, you're going to start taking out your profits out of your business, putting it in your pocket, living a lifestyle that you want, buying a beautiful car, upgrading your home, paying off your debt, going for a fabulous vacation, whatever it is that you want to do with your money. But, you've got to kind of be consistent and invest and reinvest to be able to get to that level and to be able to get to that point where you're doing that. So hopefully we spent some time today on direct mail, some different strategies and some different ideas. I wanted to give you a clear overview as to how you can succeed in direct mail, how it works, some of the ins and outs. And we want to talk a little bit about products, pricing, printing, supplies, leads, process, and of course getting you started. Get your feet wet. Okay, if you want to do some of your own printing, like I said, get your own printer. If you want to go find your own leads, okay, go source out your own leads and test it out. So you can just use our leads until you get to a point where you feel like you want to start testing on your own. But we kind of give you that, you kind of swim with us in the shallow end and be safe and protected before you kind of jump into the deep end on your own If you ever want to run your own direct mail business or create your own products or create your own business, we kind of give you a safe place to learn, to test things out, to make money, to be profitable, and to get your confidence to the point where you're able to either continue just making a lot of money with us or obviously venture out on your own as well. So hopefully we've given you kind of an overview, some different suppliers, some different places where you can generate leads or get purchase leads from. And, of course, strategies, like I said, in growing the business and reinvesting and investing regularly to be able to be consistent and to grow the business to the level that you want to get it to. Again, for my wife, Kristen, and I am so excited to be working with you, helping you, and doing these monthly trainings for you. Next month, we'll do, obviously, a different training as well. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to drop us an email or write us a letter. We love the feedback all the time. Thank you so much.